Welcome back to the Windmill Garden. This is spring development video number 3. I've got all my large sandstone blocks. We're going to put in that decorative rock wall. After that rock wall, we're going to cover the spring well with landscape fabric. Then we'll backfill. And then the part I'm looking forward to most, we're going to install a hand pump on this well casing. Let's get started. The first thing I want to do is rinse that rock well out. If you missed part 1 and 2 of this project, use this link to jump back. I've rinsed and cleaned these rocks several times, pushing all the dirt and silt to the bottom. The water in this little spring, or seep, flows through the gravels on top of a natural clay layer. Water's looking pretty clean. These 3 pipes are my groundwater monitoring system. They let me know how high the water is in the gravels. Having the well full to the top, I'm going to cap these pipes and look for leaks around my fittings. Bulkhead fittings look good. I don't see any leaks there. I have 2 stepped layers built into the clays of this bank. My mortar's mixed up. Let's get to work on this rock wall. Small stones for the first course. They'll get larger as I build up. I'm also going to follow the angle of the bank. I'm no mason, but I can stack rocks. And this doesn't have to be pretty. This is what I call ranchscaping. I'm looking for stones with a flat face for the outside. It's kind of fun to fit them together, like puzzle pieces. Slowly working my way up. As I build around these pipes, I can straighten them. This cement is mortar or mason mix. Type S, Portland, sand, and lime. This mix is strong, and the lime makes it workable, plastic, and helps it stick to the rocks. I'm using pre-mixed bags, Sackcrete. Larger stones up here on this second shelf. Things are going a little quicker now. This top drain pipe was not straight at all, so it's pretty satisfying getting the rocks built around it and lining it up with the other drain pipes. As I build this wall up higher, I'm filling the gap in with regular concrete mix. This spring, or seep, is low at the bottom of the arroyo, under the gravels, a little different than a spring that bubbles out of the side of a hill. I don't have any elevation to pipe the water to a cistern or storage tank. These drain pipes will monitor the groundwater level, but I'm going to access the water in a different way. I'm going to lift it with a hand pump. And that's a wrap for today. Shadows are getting long. Days are short this time of year. Back at it. I got a few hours this afternoon to work on the spring project. Let's do it. Concrete and grout set up. Wall came out pretty good. Pipes are nice and straight. I am going to trim them off, shorten them up. I also want to trim down this plastic dam, a little too high. And then the last bit of business I want to get done today is fill this hole up, fill this rock well up one more time. This is the last chance I have to rinse off the rocks. Plumb up, and I'll trim these pipes back with a hacksaw. I think they stick out a little too far. And now we'll take care of this plastic dam liner. It's sticking up a little too far for the backfill. This will all be covered with soil, and eventually grass and vegetation will grow in. There we go. That'll match the natural height of the bank. Now I'll rinse these rocks in this well, get all the silt to settle to the bottom. The final rinse. I've repeated this washing process quite a few times over the past week. Each time, the water and rocks get cleaner. Today I'm going to pull the caps and clean out the plumbing as well. It took about 30 minutes to drain the water out of the well down to the bottom pipe, and that's a good demonstration of how this monitoring system will work. Things have really dried up this fall, and the groundwater table has dropped. This pond's about 5 inches lower than when I started this project. I'm hoping that when the water table is high, I'll get a constant flow out of one of these pipes. Another beautiful fall day out here in southeast Colorado. We have had some beautiful fall weather. Last year at this time, we were buried under 4 feet of snow. Another good day to work on the spring. Today we're going to backfill. I'm going to cover the rock well with this landscape fabric. Then we'll go get the backhoe, cover it with dirt. This landscape fabric protects the spring well, keeps dirt out and the water clean. This first piece will get trimmed for a tight fit around the well casing. Wraps of electrical tape will keep everything secure. Landscape staples for this steep bank, and rocks to hold things down in the breeze. Ever notice that when you're working with fabric or trying to roll out a tarp, the wind's going to blow, just enough to make it difficult? That went pretty quick. Now we're waiting on a hay truck. Once that hay's delivered, I'll get the backhoe down here and we'll backfill. This hay will feed our cattle during the winter, but it also plays a part in our spring project. Keep watching to find out how. Slow and steady. I've extended that pipe so I don't get dirt down in the well. Sometimes it's best just to smooth things out by hand. That's it for today. Losing the light again. Rockwell came out pretty good, and we're backfilled. This is all the flow I'm getting right now. That's not too much. And here's a look in the well. The water's cleared up nicely. It's been a few days since I've done any work down here at the spring, but here's how the hay comes in. It's going to be mulch. All I have to do is move these feeders around. I've heard it can take 100 years, maybe longer, to make an inch of topsoil here in the Great Plains. These cows and this hay are going to speed things up. They'll make inches of soil in 6 months or so. Hay, manure, and sharp hooves to grind things up. Here you go, girls. A fresh bale for breakfast. And the waste, it's not waste at all. It'll be soil. Animals can help a lot developing a landscape. It's finally time to put in this old-fashioned hand pump. Let's go down to the spring pond and make some measurements. This wool casing is all scrap I had from building my garden. I didn't have a long enough pipe, so I have to add this extension. We'll beat it on with a sledgehammer. There's a rubber ring on the inside bell of this pipe, but it does take some force to put them together. A little extra work, but at least this material was free. Waste not, want not. And now a measurement for our drop pipe, 66 inches. Back in the shop, here's our old-fashioned pitcher pump and the PVC fittings we're going to use. We'll use that chop saw to cut the pipe. I'm also going to use a drill, PVC primer, cement, tape measure, some drill bits, and hole saws. Never mind those overripe tomatoes. That's for another project. This is the drop pipe for the well. I'm capping the end. This is the bottom. While we're cutting and gluing all these pipes and fittings together, let's pull the leathers out of this pump. We're going to soak it in water. That'll help it swell. The cup leathers in this pump are actually made out of leather, and they need to swell up with water to make a seal. These pumps are simple, old-time machines. It's really easy to access the leathers. One bolt. Sometimes simple's a beautiful thing. I can imagine this working in SHTF. And here's that piston, cup leather, and check valve. There's the bottom check. Exactly like the leathers, piston, and checks on a windmill pump. I need a threaded male adapter, 1.25 inches, to attach to the pump. I'm using thread sealant and pipe dope. The end of this coupling, or adapter, needs to be flush with the bottom of the pump. It sits a little proud. I'll trim it with this handsaw. No need to pull the fitting out. We'll just use the bottom of the pump as a guide. Now our pump and male adapter fitting can fit flush on the top of this cap. A couple holes and screws to attach everything. These screws are way too long, but it's all I could find. I can change them out later. Now I'm just tracing around that fitting. That'll be cut with a hole saw. The pump's got to come back off to cut our hole. Find the center, then we'll use a hole saw to cut. Now the pump and cap can be put back together, then we'll glue up our drop pipe. This next piece is just a very short piece of pipe and a coupling. The coupling and male adapter will seal around the cap. And now we'll attach our 66-inch drop pipe that we put together earlier. This small hole is a weep hole. It'll let water out in freezing conditions. And now I'm drilling lots of small holes into this cap that'll access the water. Another hole in the back of this cap. I'm going to make an access port back here. That way I could shock the well if I actually had to use it for drinking water. I could just pull the whole assembly off, cap, pump, and drop pipe, but this will be a lot handier. It's swelled up pretty tight. Put this pump back together and take it down to the spring. A little water to prime the pump, then we can try this thing out. And look at that, fresh clean water pulled from the ground. A beautiful sight. Behind me and to the right is my garden. It's irrigated by a shallow well that taps into the same system. It works great for irrigating my garden, but the old well is not exactly sealed. Critters do get in there. This water is much safer. If I ever have to use this water for drinking, I can shock the well here. Bleach can be used to sanitize a spring, but I think a better option, if available, is hydrogen peroxide. H2O2. Not quite as strong against bacteria as bleach, but hydrogen peroxide has its benefits. After sanitizing, it breaks down into oxygen and water. No harsh chemicals left behind like bleach. Hopefully, this spring and hand pump are just ranchscaping, just for fun. But they are functional, and if something happens, things go sideways, I can use this. It's always best to have your systems in place before something does happen. I also hope this video gives you ideas on how to tap a water source on your property. And that's a wrap. This was a fun project. I'll see you next time at the Windmill Garden.